we got to talk about CW, man. Like, so the Flash is ending. It wasn't good after the first three seasons. First three seasons were awesome, I thought.
Well,
I watched a couple.
I'll
that
say
I liked.
I'll say this: like it was definitely stronger in the beginning, but I've watched it and I still enjoy it. It's kind of like one of those comfort food shows for me, to where it's just like I find it just like pleasant to watch.
All right, yeah, I get that. Also, there was that CW episode of Supergirl that everybody's making fun of, where like the new Martian came down to fight them, and it was just terrible CGI.
Oh, I haven't. Like I will because I do catch up with those shows once they hit like Netflix, so I will watch it eventually. But yeah, the CG on those shows has always been kind of hit and miss. Like some of it looks okay, and some of it you go, okay, but it's a TV budget, so you kind of
can't they just send those graphics department like the stuff to India or some like China or something? Somebody can do it over there for cheaper, maybe.
I mean, I'm sure they do it as economically as they can, but
dang,
Man, what catches me is like the new TVs that are super high def, and you like see the all the creases in the makeup, and you're like, oh, that's makeup. Whereas in like an older TV, it looks
pretty good.
good. You're like, that looks good, and then you see the HD, and you're like, whoo. He's got little stuff in the cracks of his face and stuff, and you're like, this is makeup.
But yeah, television, there's definitely a budget, especially shows like The Flash that insist on being like 22 episodes a year, which is
that's true. Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. But yeah, but like, man, I watched Arrow all the way through because I guess I hate myself. Did you watch much of Arrow?
Yeah.
Like, it's not a great show.
I always hate the flashbacks, man. I know they add to the story. Yeah.
Yeah, they did way too many flashbacks.
Yeah.
Like the first season or two, okay, I get what they're doing. They're telling the current story, but also catching you up what was on the island or whatever. But then they just kept doing it every season, and you're like, it got convoluted.
Yeah,
it did.
I did not care what happened on that. I guess some mysterious stuff happened, but I just cared about what was happening now, and yeah.
But because Arrow was like the first of those shows, like I think it had the most like kind of like CW stink on it from like shows that used to be on the CW, where like the Flash, all these shows kind of have like soap opera-y kind of moments in them, But I always thought like the Flash was like a superhero show with soap opera elements, where I almost thought with Arrow it was more like a soap opera with some superhero elements.
Yeah.
Like there was always at least one time per episode where I thought I should have to surrender my testicles for watching it.
I agree. Yeah.
It was there's always like some embarrassing like melodramatic shit in it.
In the Arrow, you couldn't fart without like a conversation about it and like figuring out if everybody's on board and this, and it was just nuts.
Yeah. But yeah, I think they're kind of winding down a lot of those shows. Like I think Black Lightning ended. In fact, I just saw I think the final season of that's on Netflix.
I never watched Black Lightning. I watched the first episode. I never watched it. What was it about? If you watched it,
the first season I actually thought was pretty strong. After that, like I remember season 2 being kind of hard to get through, kind of drug. But yeah, it's basically like this. He has electrical based powers, and then as the show goes along, he finds out that both of his daughters also have powers. Yeah. So it's kind of like this kind of like family dynamic of them being a family, but also having powers. Like you'd see in maybe like The Incredibles or something like that. Yeah. But it definitely also because they are like a black family, they have a lot of like. Race discussions and things like that, But overall, like, it's a fine show.
Yeah. I don't mind race discussions. Like, Luke Cage did it really well, I thought.
Yeah, well, Luke Cage is, like, similar to Black Lightning in that, like, the first season I like quite a bit. And then, like, season 2, I never finished. I was just kind of, like, bored. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, what was his name? Kingpin or Mahershala Ali?
Oh yeah,
He was so good in season 1. He helped carry that season.
yeah, and he was only there for like half the season.
I know, Cottonmouth. That's what they called him in this show. Yeah. Oh my gosh, so good. He was just the perfect villain. I didn't think I get that his cousin whatever was like also manipulative and this and that, but I just like the actor too much. I didn't like seeing him go.
Now he's going to be Blade, supposedly.
Oh, okay, interesting. Would you say they're winding down? They are bringing. They brought Superman into the fold, right? So they got the new Superman. With Lois.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so they do have some new shows popping off too. Yeah, because Superman and Lois.
And they're talking about bringing back Smallville with the two main the good guy and the bad guy.
Smallville is one of those shows I never really watched.
I
'cause
never watched it.
when it first started. Like, we had cable and we didn't have the channel it was on. But then eventually, like years later, I just randomly like caught an episode of it, and I thought the episode I watched was really bad. So I just like never watched any more of it. And I know there's people who love it, but I don't know. I think it's one of those shows I just would have a hard time watching.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was probably soap opera too. I got that feeling.
Yeah, definitely.